Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Everse Chat. This episode is brought to you by my headphones for consistently fooling people into believing that I can't hear them.
Everse Chat.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for joining me here on episode 10. Today we're going to engage with a very special guest. I always say it's a very special guest. Everybody's very special, I guess, when you think about it. But we have a special guest here on episode 10, and we are going to discuss motivation. So before we kind of talked about, why you get into it, but we never discussed why you stay. And getting into it and staying are two very different things, and they require very different motivations or sources of motivation. How do you keep going? What is it really that drives you to sustain? Besides money, I think that's a lot of people, they'll just be like, oh, well, it's easy, hey, it's just the money and it's just a job. But for some people, it's not a job, it's a purpose, it's a cause, it's a calling, it's a vocation. Insert thesaurus word here. It's something other than just a transaction. So that's something to consider when you're starting up, when you're considering quitting, when it's one of those low times. Why do you continue to do whatever it is that you do? We'll be discussing all that and more. So just stay tuned and listen to what our special guest has to say. By the way, this is probably the best story time ever. You just kind of have to stick around and listen to it. I think you hear me giggling in the background. I'm not sure, but it's definitely worth the wait. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, we have Merle Robinson here. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we're gonna talk about motivation a little bit, about why you do the things you do when it comes to entrepreneurship and starting your business. Last time with Kesha, we talked a little bit about the motivation behind naming, but we've never really got in depth about why you go into business, why you do the things you love. So Merle, if you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your business, I'm sure people are interested to hear what you got going on.
All right, my name is Merle, owner of Diamond Elite Car Care, which is a waterless mobile car wash service. Started the company 2 years ago now. The real motivation behind it is basically got tired of working the 9 to 5. Clocking in, telling me when someone could tell me to go to lunch, the usual things that people are tired of getting told what to do. And always had a passion for cars, always had a passion for cleaning my own car, my friends' cars. And I always thought about starting a detailing service. And just looking at the traditional methods of buying a truck or a van or a big water tank and a lot of the equipment, and I started looking at the cost and looking at towards $10,000 just in materials to buy things right off the back. So I was like, okay, that's already a knock on something that I'm not really trying to spend too much money to start a business, because just like everyone else, we usually don't have too much money to start a business. And then I started looking across the internet, and I started seeing other methods in Dubai, England, and they were using waterless methods to clean the cars instead of using traditional methods that are here in the U.S. So I started doing more research on it. And at the same time I was doing the research on the waterless, I came across a documentary on India and Coca-Cola. How Coca-Cola factories were using India's clean water to make Coke products in India, and Indian people were not having clean water to drink. So that documentary actually struck me pretty hard, because seeing the pictures and images of how the people there were living, and they weren't having the water, but Coke products were being produced there, it kind of hit me hard. So I decided to take that method of, okay, what can I do with the waterless and also give back to the people that need water. So I decided to say, okay, let me start a company that could also give back. If we're not using water to clean cars, we might as well donate that water to people that need it.
Cool. So I guess everybody's first question is, can I get a discount? Just kidding. But so without getting into too much detail, because I know that, you know, there's some stuff that's trade secret. You know, how do you go about washing a car without water? I bet there's a lot of people out there that when you say, hey, I do waterless car washing, they're like, so you stare at my car? So what is that, just at a very surface level, and what are the advantages of doing waterless versus water with water?
All right, it's a good question. A lot of people ask me that. And a lot of people are actually scared of the waterless because they never heard of it. So in simple terms, simplest way I could put it, it's basically dry cleaning for vehicles. So there's a solution that's used, and maybe a few ounces on each car compared to 50 plus gallons used, or 50 plus gallons of water used per car at a traditional car wash. So the benefits is right off the bat right there. We're not using nearly as much water to clean a vehicle. The solution that I use is basically lubricants, waxes, a lot of things mixed together that allows to lift dirt off the surface of the car, wipes it off easily, and it also leaves it shined and protected, UV protection for about 90 days. So it's tons of benefits off of it. It makes your car look way better than any traditional car wash.
In dreaming this up, it looks like you kind of had to search the globe to come up with the alternative method for washing cars. I mean, I think that's probably been ingrained in the American psyche that you wash a car with water. So I bet there are some challenges with that. But before we get into the challenges of marketing this service and product, maybe. So it sounds like your motivations are mostly ecological and economical. So is this service more expensive, on par, less expensive? So what are the benefits for a person that's like, all right, I can drive down the street, or I can call up Merle and say, hey, let me let me get some of that no water wash.
Okay, so let's take the waterless out of the equation. The service alone is more beneficial than going down to your gas station, get a car wash, or even one of the hand washes where they clean the car for you. Let's say you're at work and it's a Friday night, you got plans after work. Do you have time to go get your car cleaned? You mean you want to make an impression or whatever you're going to be doing? The service alone is, we come to you no matter where you're at. If it's work, play, home, we'll be there. The pricing is comparable to any hand wash that you would go to. But where we beat that is, we come to you no matter where you're at. If you're at your kid's practice, you need your car cleaned, detailed, you can do it right there in the parking lot. Being waterless, we don't disturb any neighboring cars because we're not using tons of water splashing over anyone else's cars. Yeah, just that aspect alone is what gets us in the door, I should say. The accessibility, the convenience. A lot of my customers, it's people that want their cars cleaned before work. Not necessarily me coming to their job, but I've done that before. But a lot of people, they're like, can you come to my house 9 o'clock in the morning to come clean my car? And that's what we do. It's being at your whim. When you need us, we're there. So that's the biggest benefit of any other standard car wash. And it's a more personal wash. It's 100% hand wash. Every single panel of the car is touched by hand, detailed by hand, and the work it speaks for itself.
So getting back to the idea of motivation. So when when you thought this up, obviously I think every entrepreneur's mindset, well, the majority of them, I should say, is I don't want to work for anybody else. I'm done with it. Even if it's like, all right, I still got to work, but I have to, I have to pay more attention to this now. What is that alone enough to take those calls? Because it sounds like you're a car cleanliness concierge. Like you're there on the spot, and that's really a huge benefit. I know, like for me, that would be huge if I could just like go outside and see that my truck is not ashy. Yeah. So is that a motivating factor of knowing that you're bringing the service to people, or is there more to it than that? Is it, well, hey, this is something of my own that I can control? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. I'm going to probably say just helping people out. That's my biggest thing. I'd say I have a big heart, and knowing that I can have a business that provides a good service, but also on the back end that's able to help save lives, I think is a good motivation for me. I don't try to put that in the upfront that, yeah, we're sending water, we're sending money to organizations to help send water. That's more of me. I always said if I was going to get in the business, I should always give back. I'm not doing it just for me anymore. So that's probably my main motivation. And also, a long time ago, I've learned there's 3 stages in life in the work field. You begin your working as with your name on your shirt, then you progress to your name on your desk, to the name on your building. And that's what I'm working towards, is get that name on a lot of buildings right now. And that's probably my biggest motivation right now.
That was actually a really awesome, I don't even know if that was an analogy or whatever the heck of anecdote. that I'm going to steal that, just so you know. So consider it stolen. It's now, you've heard that first on Everse chat from me and not Merle. Just kidding. but no, that's a really good point. Of always looking for the next best thing or the next biggest thing or growth. I think I had put on Facebook a few days ago, not a lot of people know the difference between change and evolution. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, that's something that they're very attuned to, is, constantly keeping up evolution and spurring it at a faster rate than what you would be able to do if you were just, sitting at a desk at Joe Schmo's workery, where you put holes in paper and then you go home. So one segment that I do, Merle, is called Story Time, and I've been putting all my guest speakers on the spot because it's funny, and I'm tired of listening to myself tell stories. So usually how story time goes, I have a little jingle and whatnot, but I just tell a story that is really near and dear, or is a cautionary tale or something about your experience in business. A lot of people listening to Everse Chat, they're out there Googling. They're out there like, oh, well, what happens if I don't have an agreement? My first guest speaker, Travis, is somebody that I work with. And he has a photography company, and those are all questions that he would come up with, and then he started having stories of his own, like, oh man, this is why I needed this. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to tell people in the format of a story, something just short or long, it doesn't really matter. We have like 8 minutes, so yeah, do you want to take on story time?
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, it's story time.
All right, so story time. We'll talk about the time I actually quit my job to start the business. Mortgage consultant in San Diego. Didn't necessarily work at the best company, I should say. They were really old school and strict on a lot of things, such as scanning out of the door just to go to the bathroom. and that counted against your break time. So if you went to the bathroom for 3 minutes, that counted against your 15-minute break. So little things like that really was getting under my skin. But I kind of think this job because if they weren't the way they were, so strict, I wouldn't be looking for an outlet to start the business. But there was an instant where that literally made me want to quit, and I did. We had an older gentleman that worked with us, and he was not my boss, but thought he was my boss. And he liked to listen to my phone conversations and coach me through the phone conversation, even though I've been in the industry at the time for 4 years and pretty much knew what I was doing. I was top producer at work. I closed loans for a living. I knew what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to do every day. I knew how to do it efficiently. And it wasn't to his liking. He didn't like the way I said things to customers, and we didn't really click too well. So John one day listened to one of my conversations with the customer who wasn't too happy with his loan, which is common. So I was dealing with the situation, and he decided to come over and coach me through the conversation to calm the situation down. And I don't know if you guys could listen to me. I'm a pretty calm guy. I was handling the situation just fine, but he decided to come over, interact with me and the customer at the same time, and that that did it for me. I let him handle the situation while he was talking on the phone to the customer. I took my key fob, I placed it on my desk, and I literally walked out the office. And when they're talking about sometimes you have to take the leap, I took the leap. I took the leap, and thank God I had the parachute to keep me where I'm at now. So the moral of that story is a lot of people that when they're thinking about starting a business, they're too scared to take the leap. And sometimes there needs to be something that pushes you off that cliff to make you take that leap. And that job, it did it for me. Honestly, if I was working at a different company that treated me well and that just wasn't down my back so often, I probably wouldn't have started the business so quick and the way I did. But so like I said, I'm thankful that I had that job, and they were the way they were, and I'm glad I walked out the door.
That is, we're gonna have to put some sound effects on that one and call it like epic story time, mic drop. But and that is why I love putting people on the spot for story time, because you get the richness of that. That is a story that I couldn't even dream up. Yeah. But that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you have to take the leap. I believe that was episode 2 where we talked about that. Sometimes you just, enough is enough. And when it comes to your job versus your sanity, you choose your sanity, because your job doesn't care that much. I mean, I guess that could go for any venture that you start yourself too, and I think that's why examining the proper motivations before you jump in is very important, because you can easily find a situation where you've started it and your name is maybe on the building and you're just like, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. And I think in those cases, maybe sometimes the business has changed, and other times it's it's not your baby anymore. Yeah. It's grown and you don't recognize it, which is, I guess, is part of life. But not to distract from the point that was the best story I've ever heard on here. That's going to be in the title. But yeah, so we usually like to keep these around 20 minutes or something like that. But Merle, I want to give you another opportunity to plug your business here. So any social media, phone numbers, locations, whatever you want, go ahead and share it.
Company is Diamond Elite Car Care. Instagram is Diamond Elite Car Care. Facebook, same thing, Diamond Elite Car Care. Website, diamondelitecarcare.com. You can go to all 3 to book an appointment. We try to be on demand, but right now I'm also a working man moving back to Colorado. So weekends are open at this moment, but I am flexible. Pretty much meet you anywhere, anytime. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Phone number is still a San Diego number, but that's going to change here soon. It's a 619-246-1623 number. You can text it, call. Like I said, just go online, book those appointments, and let's get those cars clean.
Okay, thank you, Merle. And that is all the time we have for this week's Everse chat. I'd like to take a second and just thank everybody for continuing to listen to Everse chat throughout this 10-week and hopefully beyond series. I really appreciate all the feedback. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It won't kill you unless there's something I don't know about YouTube. Continue to send me feedback. Still waiting on my first comment via the comment section. I get a lot of text messages, a lot of calls, but as always, it's fine to hit the like and subscribe and comment button, and I can get back to you there. So until then, stay prosperous and have a great week.